Hey, what's wrong, Jake? Mom, I... I might be done for. Our son Jake was hanging his head at the entrance as soon as he got home. My husband and I were shocked by the scene. We decided to take him to the living room and ask what was going on. He seemed to come alone today. I wondered where his wife Laura was. But the reason Laura was absent became clear when we heard his story. After a while, Jake regained his composure. My husband and I waited for Jake to speak. Sorry for coming home so suddenly. I just can't take it anymore. What happened? And Jake, have you lost some weight? Yeah. He was always thin, but now he looked sickly thin. It wasn't normal. Then Jake revealed the reason behind it. Actually, it's because of Laura. Laura? What happened? Right now, she's taking most of my salary. What? Most of your salary? Is Laura handling the finances? Yeah. You know I've always been bad with money, right? So I thought it would be better if Laura managed it. But recently, the money she's been giving me has been decreasing, and I can't afford lunch. Then she said she's been saving money because the electricity bill was high this month, and that she had to use the money to repair the vacuum cleaner. I couldn't stand it anymore and complained, but she said it's my fault for not earning enough. I see. Jake, you're pathetic. So you're saying you've been doing whatever Laura tells you? If you're the man of the house, you need to take control. If not, the situation might get worse. I know. What my husband said was true. If you just follow your wife's orders, it can lead to misery. Although it might be harsh for Jake, who's mentally weak right now, he has to understand it. Jake seemed to understand as he was silently nodding. Then Jake told us something else. Remember you said I looked thinner? It might be because I've been surviving on instant noodles for all 3 meals. You can't eat only instant noodles. No matter how convenient it is, you need to get proper nutrition. But all I'm given is instant noodles. It seems like Jake has been given only a small amount of money for the last month, and has been provided only with instant noodles for lunch. Ever since Laura suggested they needed to save money, Jake has been putting up with it. Of course, he tried to object, but the fact is that he was the one who asked Laura to manage the finances. It might be difficult for him to complain, given those circumstances. But, considering the situation, he can't dwell on that right now. Anyway, you're staying with us tonight. I'll give you a proper meal and even pack a lunch for work tomorrow. Thank you, Mom. With a sigh of relief, Jake, with tears streaming down his face, thanked me. Apparently, he told Laura he'd be staying at his parents' home for a while. In hindsight, it would have been better if he had confronted her about the difficulties of their current living situation. But given Jake's mental state, that was all he could say to her. It was my first time seeing Jake so broken down. I can't even begin to imagine the amount of stress he must have been under. After that, he ended up staying at home for a while, and due to his poor health, he had to take a leave of absence from work. When Jake took this leave, I learned that he had recently been going to the hospital. He said it was due to stress, so the hospital had advised him to take some time off. However, Jake had a fear of what she might do to him if he took a break from work, so he had continued working out of habit, which resulted in his current state. During Jake's leave of absence, he was living on disability. At least being at home meant he could save on meals, which he said would be a big help. But what's more important is that we still need to do something about Laura. However, there is something I'm worried about. If I get involved, it could potentially make things worse. Maybe they can resolve it by themselves. For a moment, the thought crossed my mind that it might not be good for me to intervene. But I quickly dismissed such thoughts. Jake was desperate enough to come to me in such a state, and it's not a situation where I could afford to hesitate. I should do what I can for Jake. Just then, I received a call from Laura. Hello, Laura? It's been a while, hasn't it, Isabella? Jake's there with you, isn't he? Could you tell him to come home? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Why not? Jake is trying to abandon his duties as a husband, you know? Are you really okay with that? I don't think it's a matter of me being okay with it or not. If I just send him back, I don't think it will solve anything fundamentally. How about we set up a meeting to talk about this in the near future? And not just with me, but with your parents as well, so we could all sit down and discuss this. Oh, is that so? I see. So, you're not planning on sending Jake back, are you? Understood. I have some ideas too then. We'll talk again soon. With that, Laura hung up the phone. She has some ideas. That phrase stuck with me. What could Laura possibly be planning? Several anxiety-filled days passed. Then, one weekend, my husband Jake and I were relaxing when the doorbell rang. I thought it was the mail or something and checked the intercom monitor. I couldn't believe my eyes. There were Laura and her parents. What should I do? Luckily, Jake hasn't noticed yet. Maybe I can dodge the situation and pretend we're not home. That's what I was thinking. But then I heard, "What's wrong, Jake?" My husband called Jake, and when I looked over, Jake was shaking with his phone in his hand. I then looked at the phone Jake was holding, and there the screen displayed Laura with an incoming call. Jake seemed to be having a reflex of rejection. He couldn't answer the phone. So with Jake's permission, I answered the call. Hello? Oh? Why are you answering the phone? Jake is not feeling well today, so I picked up the phone for him. I see. In that case, I'm worried. So please, let us visit while we have our discussion. We're outside your house right now. I'm sorry. We're actually out at the moment. That's strange. If Jake's phone is there, but you're not home, how does that work? I'm not used to lying, and my lie was easily exposed. Isabella, there's no need to be so cautious. My parents and I are here to have a discussion with you. As she spoke, my husband moved towards the door. It won't help running away from this situation. Might as well settle it now, my curt husband said, opening the front door and welcoming Laura and her parents into our house. Their faces as they entered lacked any hint of a smile. In fact, it seemed as if they were glaring at us. We apologize for the sudden visit. We just heard something from our daughter and thought we should join the conversation. It was probably about something I'd said to Laura the other day. I had suggested we should have a discussion involving both our sets of parents. I hadn't expected them to come unannounced, though. In the tense atmosphere, the discussion began. We explained that Jake had asked Laura to manage their money, but due to her excessive frugality, he had suffered health issues and had not been provided with adequate meals. We also told them that he was currently under medical treatment. However, it seemed that Laura and her parents were convinced by this fact. That's all about Jake's situation. Is there anything you'd like to say? Laura's mother chimed in. But wasn't Jake the one who asked Laura to manage the money? Doesn't he bear some responsibility then? Of course, you're right. If Jake had managed it himself, we wouldn't have this issue. But don't you think surviving on instant noodles for all meals is a bit much? That's none of our business. Maybe it couldn't be helped in order to save money. Is that true, Laura? Yes, it is. I never waste money, but Jake often buys a lot of unnecessary things. What? I didn't buy anything. Stop lying, Jake. She laughed. What? So it was a lie. Just like he tried to pretend he wasn't home today. Like father, like son, I guess. What? Before we knew it, instead of a discussion, it had turned into a situation where Jake and I were being cornered. Every time Jake and I tried to argue, Laura and her parents would shut us down with another point. It seemed our opinions were not being heard, only their one-sided claims continued. Just then, my usually quiet husband, who had been silent until now, slammed the table. At the sound and his sudden action, everyone jumped in surprise. Can I say something? Laura, are you and your parents trying to say that it's all Jake's fault? I'm not saying that. I just think that if they're a couple, then they should lay everything out on the table and have a good, honest discussion. Then they might be able to get along again. Lay everything out. I see. I understand. you might be right. What? I'll talk to Jake again here. So, would you be willing to set up another discussion on a different day? I think everything will be clear by then. It seems you're a reasonable man, sir. Alright, I apologize for my previous rudeness. How about 2 weeks from today for the next meeting? I don't think it's good to leave it too long. Sounds good. That will be sufficient. And so it was decided that the meeting would take place at a later date, as my husband had suggested. After the three of them had left, I turned on my husband furiously. Why would you say such a thing? It's as if you're admitting that Jake is in the wrong. Calm down. I didn't think Jake was at fault, nor did I particularly want to smooth things over. Then why? Don't you find it strange? Why go to such lengths to make up with Jake? Huh? She brought her parents with their complaints, all with the aim of reconciliation. In a situation like this, I wouldn't even consider reconciliation. He had a point. If they cared about their daughter, they would either discuss divorce or approach the situation more calmly. Perhaps there was another objective. As I pieced together the situation, I realized one thing. What makes Jake so essential to Laura and her parents? The first thing that came to mind was money. From what Jake had shared, he had a pretty decent salary. However, he couldn't go against Laura, so he wasn't able to get allowances or such. In that case, Laura and her parents might be depending on Jake's money. But recently, he had switched to disability benefits and had a separate account for his salary. If that's the case, they must be in trouble. Perhaps they made contact because they wanted Jake to come home quickly and secure his salary. After discussing with my husband, we reached that conclusion and immediately told Jake. Jake, if this continues, you'll be drained by that family. I think it's better to make a decision before that happens. I'm sorry, but this is something only you can decide. So think it over carefully. I understand. It was a hard decision, but Jake also had to move forward. Making decisions for oneself is crucial. About a week later, Jake came to a conclusion. Mom, Dad, I'm getting a divorce. My husband and I embraced Jake, honoring his decision and the courage it took. It wasn't an easy thing to do. He must have thought about various things. Whether this is the right decision or not, we don't know, but we will understand as we continue to live. At least, I thought it was a good decision. Then, we started helping Jake prepare for the divorce. We had to push the meeting back a little because it didn't seem like we would make it in 2 weeks. So, we told Laura's family. They made some snide remarks, but knowing that this relationship would soon be over made it bearable. Once everything was ready, we sat and waited for their call. Then, Laura and her father came to our house right away. What's this all about? I didn't hear anything about a divorce mediation. So, this is why you wanted to postpone the meeting. What a joke. Let me tell you, I'm not attending any of this mediation. My daughter will never get a divorce. Laura and her father were furious. It was a natural reaction since they thought there would be no divorce. But the wheels were already in motion. There was no stopping it now. Please, calm down, both of you. Our decision to divorce will not change. Please, leave now. You! Could you please stop? Besides, didn't you say you were going to lay everything out in the open? You're hiding something from us, aren't you? Like how you're taking Jake's money through your daughter. What are you talking about? Stop the poor excuses. We have all the information. It was a bit costly, but we had a detective investigate you. You quit your job last year, didn't you? You're living a pretty comfortable life, aren't you? Taking it easy with a job and living on Jake's money. You have your retirement savings, and there's no problem as long as you keep leeching off Jake. I'm sorry. Then my husband lost his temper. What good does apologizing do now? You've been using the money Jake earned through hard work for your leisure. There's no way I'd ever accept your apology. Laura, you too. If you wanted to help your father after he quit his job, why didn't you use your own money? Using someone else's money for that. Are you some kind of fraudster? Uh, um, just get out. I don't want to breathe the same air as you for even a moment. Uh, um, just get lost! With my husband's roar, Laura and her father quickly left. At that moment, it became clear that my husband was the angriest about this whole matter, and so this incident came to a close. In the mediation that followed, we hired a lawyer and successfully got the divorce. Although not for the full amount, some repayment obligation was established, and Laura's family was ordered to pay. After the divorce was finalized, Laura and her father immediately started looking for full-time jobs. Due to his age, it seems like he is having a hard time finding work. Laura is balancing a day job and a night job, literally working without a break. Since then, Jake's condition has improved and he's returned to work. I was torn about how much I should help this time, but I now think it was good that I did. I want my child to be healthy after all. I don't know what the future holds, but I want Jake to know that he always has two allies.